What's up, everyone? This is Jacques Slade, and right now you're listening to the best new podcast in the world. It's called Outside the Box. But I'm not here by myself. Couldn't hold it down by myself. I have two great guys here with me that pretty much keep me straight and know a lot more about sneakers than I do. So let me first introduce my main man, Brandon. Go ahead and tell them about yourself.
What's going on? I'm Brandon Edler, content manager for Finish Line, and I do a little bit of feature writing for Complex every now and then. Kick it over to our guy Nick Engvall.
What's up, guys? I'm Nick Engvall. Just like sneakers. Want to talk about them some more, like I do all the time. So
these guys are playing it really modest today, people.
So we're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, they're really important people. They play it really modest, but these guys are really important people. It helps shape the sneaker culture more than most people would like to admit. But today we're here to talk about, shaping the sneaker culture. We're going to talk about Adidas and Adidas Originals and some of the major moves that they have made in the last, is 18 months fair? Maybe 2 years? 18 months, 2 years?
Yeah, probably 18 months.
I'd say 18 months. So let's start with the elephant in the room. Let's start with Kanye, and I'll kick this over to you, Brandon, just because you're probably more informed on this topic than both Nick and I, and let you just kind of lead the conversation here. So talk to me. What is Adidas and Kanye? What does that mean?
So I appreciate it, Jog. You basically just called me the biggest Kanye stan, period. So I guess that's fair. But obviously Kanye and Adidas, since they've connected, they've been doing an incredible job. The rollout that they did, All-Star Weekend in New York City, I think it's fair to say that they completely took over. I mean, it was the biggest conversation. Everybody was going crazy trying to get a pair. There was a lot of other good releases that weekend, but everybody was shooting for the 750s. And ever since then, anytime Kanye's dropped anything, anytime he's wore anything with Adidas on it, everybody's just been going nuts for it. And you saw how successful the first two 350 Boost releases were and just everything they've done there. And now recently seeing him in new colorways of the 350 and just stepping out the other day in the 750 in a black pair, which we can only hope maybe means a Black Friday release. We'll see.
So what do you say to Nick, and I'll toss this one to you, Nick. What do you say about guys that like Matt Powell that say that Kanye has no influence and he's not really making that big of a difference because his releases are so limited?
I mean, I think it's kind of an ignorant, stance to take on it, just because that's the way it's been, and you haven't seen a entertainer or a style persona really make that big of an impact in sneakers throughout the course of like sneaker history, if you will. But I do think that with Kanye, it's quite a bit different. Like the world is a different place than it was 10 or 15 years ago. Michael Jordan became who he was because we all saw him on TV. Even though we didn't have social media to see everything he did, we saw him every day. He was on SportsCenter. He was on your local news, your local sports radio station. He was just everywhere. And Kanye is that times millions because of social media, because of his relationships with, other entertainers, Kim Kardashians of the world that are, also equally, popular as far as the number of people that follow them. So I think it's kind of an old school way of thinking about it. It's kind of an old school stance, and like Matt's kind of always been that way. He's kind of done the same thing for a long time, and hopefully, hopefully he starts to kind of see that things a little bit differently and maybe give it a chance. But I also think sometimes he likes just kind of rubbing people the wrong way just to get the rise out of people.
Agreed. Yeah. Like, as much as I respect what Matt does, I think that sometimes he allows his allegiance, I'll say, to numbers and spreadsheets, for lack of a better term, to solely direct his interpretation of things. And I think that despite he has good intentions. I think his purpose is really to inform people, but I think that he sometimes loses sight of the bigger picture when it comes to cultural influence and how that spreads through a community. It's kind of, I almost liken it to, and I'll probably get a lot of haters for this here, to that thing where like street culture eventually becomes mainstream culture, And he's seeing the street culture portion of it happening, and he's not taking into account that this is eventually what the mainstream culture is going to be purchasing or looking in to buy. But that's just kind of how I see it.
Definitely, Jack. I think you're on point with everything that you said. And, when Adidas decided to bring Kanye over, they said one of their biggest initiatives was to just really make Boost a big thing. And we've seen what he's done by wearing his non-signature stuff, just, wearing the Ultra Boost and the all white or whatever, and seeing how quickly pairs flew off. As soon as he wears it, it's a big deal. That's all there is to it. And it was the same way when he was at Nike, when he would step out in a pair of Flyknits, or even, the white and blue Flight 89s. As soon as he rocked them, sales went up tremendously. And, I don't know how he goes about measuring that. I don't know if he pays attention to any of that. But, Kanye pushes the needle no matter what he wears. That's just a fact. That's all there is to it.
Now, speaking of Boost, and correct me here if I'm wrong, Boost was kind of billed as a performance thing, but it seems like most of the shine that Boost is getting right now is really in the lifestyle arena.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say so, and I think that's a testament to kind of how good it is, really. When it comes down to it, you wear shoes because they're comfortable, and it just it's rare that you're going to put on something that all those shoes over the years that are classics or whatever are not necessarily the most comfortable shoes. They're definitely they're pinnacle for an era, but the boost
Mm-hmm.
technology, cushioning, whatever, is definitely the best thing out right now as far as cushioning. And it's not necessarily that the style doesn't play a play into it at some level or another, but I think that just in general,
Right.
when you just want to put on a pair of shoes, if you compare it to say something like the Nike Roshe that everybody likes to compare it to, the Roshe is not like a groundbreaking technology or anything like that. It's just a cool, simple shoe that you can throw on and wear, and it's comfortable, and you can beat it up and not have to worry about it. And I think Adidas has kind of
Right.
taken that over and really just owned the comfortable, I just want to wear a cool pair of shoes and wear it all day and not have to worry about it. And, Boost has kind of become that.
So do you see a lot of staying power behind Boost? Do you think it'll transition? Because for me, Flyknit was billed from Nike was obviously billed as, oh, it's this great performance thing and the athletes and track stars love it. But I don't think I've seen anybody running seriously in Flyknit. And I kind of feel like that's the same situation with Boost, where it's billed as this great comfort thing, but I don't really see people really performing in Boost.
I mean, I think that, I think you could say that about a lot of Nike over the years, and I get a lot of kind of slack for not being as dedicated to Nike as some of the sneaker people, enthusiasts are. But look at Air Max. Air Max cushioning originated in the heel of the shoe, and it kind of taught us all how to run improperly for the way physically we're supposed to run. And that to me is kind of just the nature of it. It's you're sold the idea, and no matter how much you could be sold an idea, if it's not functional in some way, shape, or form, then you kind of lose it. So you look at Nike in the running space,
Yeah.
they don't really have, I mean, look at the New York Marathon. It was won by a guy wearing Skechers. Nike isn't really, they're in the aspirational sports space, if you will. They're very much like people that want to look the part and want to, aspire to be better. I look at Nike as that. They're more motivational to me than they are, actual physical performance oriented stuff. You could take that across other
Right.
platforms too. I think, there's been lots of talk of over the last few years, what players are wearing, a guy like LeBron not happy with his shoe. And those types of things are kind of points to prove that, and I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. Obviously, some of those shoes are still amazing, and some of us, we love getting caught up in the hype of, there's only so many pairs of this, so I want it. Or there's, a new colorway and I don't have one of these yet, so I got to get a pair of these. So all that stuff plays into it. But
Right.
I think that Boost kind of is essentially what Air Max was in 1987, where, wow, everybody's taking notice of this and I've got to go try it. And it's guys like, my brother, who's not really into sneakers, has been into sneakers a little bit over the course of time, but, he's not wrapped up in it the way I am, say. And that's kind of a testament to what Boost has become, where he's heard about it, some from me, obviously, but like he's also heard about it from other people and wanted to go out and get a pair. So I think it's really a testament to where Adidas is at with, the market in like they're really poised to do some great things, and like we kind of mentioned earlier, maybe Black Friday is a good time to do that.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Brandon, earlier you mentioned that Kanye and Adidas basically ruled All-Star Weekend. So All-Star 2015 was basically Adidas Originals and Kanye, obviously with the Yeezy 750 that you got a pair of, and I'm salty about, but we won't even make that the focus.
Thanks to Nick.
Yeah, thanks to Nick. Shout out to Nick. Could have threw me that line, but anyway.
Yo, I was shedding G tears. If you would have broke down like I did, you probably would have got a pair too.
Let's talk about Black Friday. Brandon, you've kind of mentioned this, outside when we're just talking just outside of the podcast. And you have some ideas about Black Friday and how Adidas and Kanye could rule that day as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at the time I kind of joked around about it. I thought it would be really sick if Adidas dropped a black-white pack on Black Friday with the black 750. And at the time we hadn't actually seen a pair. And now we've seen the white 350s and the all-white ever since he rocked them at James Harden's birthday party. I mean, just if he put that, or if Adidas put that pack together, I mean, you'd have to believe that no matter what any other brand drops that day, that's going to be the priority. That's what everybody's going to be on their computers, getting real sensitive about, trying to get a pair in the basket, trying to get the pack in the basket. And I mean, nothing else would matter. That would definitely take over blogs, social media, consumers, everything for the weeks leading up to it. And it wouldn't even take that much marketing. It wouldn't even take that much effort, and they just seriously would completely murder it. I don't have any insight to what they're planning on doing for Black Friday. I've actually kind of heard that's not the plan. Not sure what they're going to do, but I think we're all in agreement that if they do that, Nike would have to really bring out some big guns. It would have to take a lot more than an Aqua 8 for them to compete with Adidas if they decided to go that route.
Yeah. Is there anything that Nike could release that could kind of stem that tide of a black 750 and a white 350?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I think that's like kind of the double-edged sword of Nike and the retro product. Like we all kind of want it. We all want to reconnect with those shoes, like the what recently, like the Nike Air Flare. It's a tennis shoe. It's a dope shoe. But we've seen all this stuff come back time and time again, that it takes a very specific change or correction, if you will. I think a good example of that's like the tech challenge, with the old tennis ball logo on it. That's something that gets me a little bit and makes me want a pair of those, even though I've had those in the past. But I really don't think, I think that it's strategic that Nike is kind of planning the Aqua 8s on Black Friday. I think that has to be, we all know that Kanye wore those shoes for years, and it has to be kind of in anticipation for what Adidas is going to do, because they're kind of on the other side of the card now, even though they don't want to admit it and they never will, and which, that's a good business strategy. They are obviously aware of what Kanye does. They're aware of what his influence is. Otherwise, you wouldn't see it on, the Dunks. And I mean, even the Kyrie shoe looks like it could have had Kanye's influence, if you will. So
Cruz's shoe as well.
And definitely Cruz's shoe. And that's nothing against Nike, because that's those guys, we always talk about it. Rappers want to be ballers and ballers want to be rappers. So for Victor Cruz's shoe to look Kanye-esque, it makes sense. Like, he's worn the Yeezys before. He's a very stylish dude. And if I was him and I had the ability to make a Nike, I'd probably make something kind of similar to that. So,
In all fairness, too, I mean, the Boost 350 obviously borrowed some influences from the Roshi, so...
Yeah, definitely. And, I think, like,
Right.
We talked about it before. I think, like, the appeal of the Boost 350 is just, it's so much more because it's just a casual, like, anybody feels like they can wear that shoe,
Definitely. And just to kind of jump in on that, I think the only way that Nike really could compete with Adidas dropping any kind of Yeezy, whether it's 750, 350s, whatever, honestly would have to be something like a Black Cement 3 with Nike Air on it, or like a Black Cat 4, just out of nowhere, unannounced, just real quick right before Adidas decided to do something. I think those two shoes, just because of how iconic the models are, and, it's been forever since we've seen a Nike Air 3, and it's been, I think, 9 years since we've seen the Black Cat 4s. It's been a minute. Those are shoes that definitely ring out in the streets. So I think those could compete very highly with it. But outside of those two shoes, it would have to be something crazy that we're not even thinking about, that we haven't seen, that we're just completely unaware of for them to compete like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Nick, well, actually, I'll pose this to Brandon. Do you think Kanye has the, like, musically, we know, like, I feel Kanye has staying power. Like, there's no question about Kanye music-wise. But from a fashion perspective, does it? I'm not convinced that he has what it takes to continually move the culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to predict the future and exactly how that's going to happen. I mean, and especially, he's kind of getting up there in age. He's, I think, 36 or 37, somewhere in that ballpark. I think from a sneaker standpoint, his designs keep getting better and better. The Air Yeezy 1 is pretty outdated if you look at it now compared to everything else that's on the market. The 2 is probably going to be there pretty soon. But, 750 was, obviously he admitted where he got the influences from and he hit it perfectly. That one's not for everybody with the 350s. It's a shoe that they could, pull like the Pharrell color wheel with and drop it in like 40 colorways, and it's going to do really, really well. So it's interesting to see from a sneaker perspective. I think he's got it. Like, I think that's something he's always going to get the trend on, and he's always going to do pretty well with it. From a clothing standpoint, and this is coming from somebody that's a huge Kanye fan, like, season 1, some of that stuff's real hit or miss. Like, I don't need ripped and tattered sweaters and have to drop $1,100 to get it or whatever the price tag is. Like, I'm good on that. So, I think he needs to, like, really focus on what he said in a lot of those interviews and, be able to have stuff that people can afford that has, like, that Zara, H&M type feel where you can go out and not feel like you're spending your whole savings to try and get the collection, and it looks really, really good, and it's kind of a staple, yet it's trendy at the time. So from a clothing standpoint, I really don't know. The way things are going with the first season of the Adidas stuff or Yeezy season 1, it's real hit or miss for me. So, and what he's done in the past has been real hit or miss. I think his best collection to date has still been the APC stuff, which was fairly affordable and it looked really, really good. So, it's just really tough to, figure out where he's going to go with that.
The APC stuff seemed a lot less complex, if for lack of a better word. It seemed like just really simple pieces as opposed to the Yeezy season 1 definitely seems a bit more adventurous.
And that's why I was really surprised when I saw it. I mean, there's definitely some, just like the bombers and the camouflage military jackets and stuff like that. Like, that stuff's always going to be clean. It's always going to look good. It's stuff you're always going to be able to wear. But, like, when he had talked about doing more, like, the H&M, Topshop, Zara type stuff, that's why I was really surprised because they do such a good job. Like, they go, out of the box and they definitely do some stuff that's real in the moment for, like, a season or so. But for the most part, like, it's just staple pieces that you'd want to wear for a while. That, $60, $70 or something like that. So when he first talked about doing it, I figured the Adidas line would be like tops $220, $225, but obviously that's definitely not the case.
So something I'm like, and speaking of just Kanye and his design, like his shoes from Nike to Adidas have gone from like a sporty look to a more lifestyle look. To be honest, I feel like he was more athletic, I guess, for lack of a better word, when he was designing with the Nike guys, and now that he's over at Adidas, it seems that it's taken more of a lifestyle approach. And I don't know if that's like something that you said, like you said, Brandon. It's because he's getting older now, and so his his ball aspirations, as Nick would say, those are starting to.
Hey, I'm 36, so this whole getting old thing. Let's not go too far that direction.
Well, I think the biggest thing is with Nike, it was the true collaboration where he had to borrow influences from Nike to make everything happen. Everybody knows that the tooling from the one came from the Air Revolution. He found a loophole to get the Jordan 3, so he used the Revolution, and then for the 2, he used the Air Tech Challenge 2. So with those, that tooling on the sneaker, it's gonna have to have somewhat of an athletic look, even no matter how premium or how lifestyle he decided to get with the upper. Whereas with the Adidas line, I mean, he's essentially can start from scratch and do whatever he wants. And we've seen, the boost has been hidden in both shoes, so he doesn't even have to show any of the technology or the functionality of it or anything. So, it's as long as they can put it in there, he's good to really create anything that he wants to. And, I think that's such a great job. Like, I think Adidas absolutely was right by letting him do that and not go crazy with the branding and not throw the 3 stripes all over it or the trefoil design or anything like that. And I think that's what's made it so appealing is this is Adidas, this is dope, we know exactly who made it, but you're not screaming it like it's not a big billboard for your brand, but everybody knows exactly who did it.
Yeah, they feel like Adidas. They feel like almost like Y3 pieces, but Adidas original pieces. I guess it's good stuff. I mean, I'm not mad. I mean, I have the black pair of 350, so I guess I really shouldn't. I don't want to make it seem like I'm hating.
And one last thing, I mean, it's funny because the 750 actually was technically designed to be a performance shoe. I remember when the 750 was first talked about, they were saying how it was going to be a basketball shoe release for All-Star Weekend, and then obviously we saw the 750 and nobody thought for a second that it was supposed to be a basketball shoe. But there was a rumor that I had heard, and from a pretty good source within their company, that stated that somebody from the Hawks was actually supposed to wear it sometime point during the season, and now it's totally escaping me. I know I told you guys his name before. The all-star guard for the Hawks that's assigned with Adidas. I can't think of it right now.
Jeff Teague?
Yeah. I think Jeff Teague was supposed to wear it, and he rolled his ankle pretty bad, and I think he got a little weary of trying to rock it on the court. But I mean, I'd still, don't be surprised. Like, we know how popular those kicks on court articles are and everything like that, and those guys take that stuff serious. So don't be surprised if somebody, pulls out a custom pair or does something where they take the top down a little bit or whatever and tries to rock that on the court. I wouldn't recommend it, but
maybe Gilbert Arenas can make a comeback out of retirement for a year.
Do they cover kicks on court over in China?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Right?
Somebody send somebody to China to cover it.
I can see an NBA player.
I'll take my camera. I'm ready.
Yeah. I can see an NBA player out there doing it. Or just anywhere, really. Because Nate Robinson was balling in like old retros and stuff, wasn't he? Like he pulled out some pretty old stuff. All right, so we're almost at our time up. But before we get out of here, I just want to do just like a quick just have you guys just give your last word on Adidas Originals right now and where you think they're going with Kanye. So let's start with you, Nick. What are your thoughts on Adidas Originals right now, and where do you see them 18 months?
I think they're just going to be stronger and stronger 18 months from now. I think we've heard rumors about how they're going to kind of create these energy spaces in Brooklyn and New York, or Los Angeles, and I think that's a great move. Like, you need those people in big cities because that's what really drives the rest of the world. The rest of the world watches New York and LA and San Francisco and London and like Paris, and we all kind of follow suit, if you will, in a fashion sense and in a style sense. So I think they got nothing going on but rising up, because they've got Kanye, they've got Nigo, they've got Pharrell, they've got even Rita Ora's stuff is kind of interesting to me. So I think they're going up. How about you, Brandon?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, from what I've been fortunate enough to see, just even for the next upcoming months, they're definitely going in the right direction. They're definitely taking boost, and they're going to flip it the right way. Nick, exactly what you said. The partnerships that they have are strong. They got the 3 guys over from Nike that are obviously going to create some stuff. And I think that's the big thing is, how do you take a lot of your historical casual stuff like the Stan Smith Superstar, and how do you transform that into something better the way Nike's done with Flyknit and a lot of their classic sneakers, or the route that they've been going with that. And then not only that, those guys that you're bringing over, what can they do for your basketball line? You just brought Harden over. You already got a stable of some really solid guys in the NBA. I mean, I think if they can get the basketball stuff down where they can kind of border that line of performance and lifestyle the way that Nike's done with a lot of the KD, LeBron, all that, they really could scare a lot of people. I mean, I think people obviously take them serious as it is, but they really could take it up to another level.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I'm gonna just say ditto to kind of really just what both of you guys said. I like the direction that they're going. I'm a big fan of the Tubular X, and I haven't bought an Adidas lifestyle shoe like I bought those. Like I have 3 pair of those, and like that's not usual for me to just go and have multiple pairs of a single Adidas lifestyle shoe. So with that, keeping that in mind, that tells me that they're obviously doing something interesting and they're obviously catching my attention. And just from like the YouTube views and people that are watching the videos on YouTube, they're more open to seeing Adidas product. It used to be like the sell on a YouTube video with Adidas products wasn't always as easy as it is now. I can do an unboxing now on an Adidas product and it get just as many views as any other video. So I'm definitely getting excited about that and think that they're moving in the right direction. And I don't have any insight, obviously, to what's going on, but I think that the next couple of quarters for them is going to be pretty exciting if they continue with the same sort of momentum that they have right now. So that's our thoughts. We want to know what you guys think. So leave us comments down below. If you're watching the video, leave us comments down there below. Or you can talk to us on Twitter. I'll give out my Twitter information. It's all under Kustoo, Kustoo. You can follow me there, or Twitter, Vine, and Instagram, any of that sort of stuff. And just leave me comments to let me know what's going on there. But you can also leave information for Brandon. So Brandon, give them all.
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram. It's Mr. Brando3, MrBrando3. And what about you, Nick? What do you got?
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, all that. It's all the same. It's under my name, Nick Engvall, NickEngvall. And yeah, I'd definitely like to hear some feedback.
Yeah, well, any feedback you guys have, what do you think about the show? If you think we were wrong about Kanye, let us know. Let us know what you think and all things of that nature. So this is the Outside the Box podcast. This is episode 1. Wanted to let you guys know we appreciate you. Thank you for listening. And again, I'm here with Brandon and Nick. They're the sneaker guys. I'm just the guy that likes to run my mouth. So we'll talk to all of you guys soon. And we'll see you guys later. All right, guys. Peace.